For an equipment reference, I am watching all of my movies either on my dedicated 4K Blu-ray player in my bedroom on a 55-inch Samsung 8000 series 4K TV, and in my rec room on the Xbox One S Blu-ray player, watching those on a 65-inch Samsung 8000 series 4K TV. Just to let you know how I'm watching these movies. Alright, so we've got Greek gods and goddesses, and we've got a woman with a lasso. You know what it's all about. Wonder Woman Bloodlines. Let's talk about it.
For me, it was Tuesday.
Wonder Woman Bloodlines is another offering in the DC animated universe. DC's animated films are probably some of basically their bread and butter, at least for the last little bit over 10 years. And their offerings and their animation have been amazing. We've had a ton of Batman films, a ton of Superman films, and a ton of Batman and Superman films together as a team-up movie. And of course, there's been some Justice League offerings, solo Green Lantern, and that sort of thing. But Wonder Woman actually, even though she's appeared in other films, she's only actually had, believe it or not, out of all that time, 2 solo animated outings. She had one that came out in 2009, and now the one we're talking about today is Wonder Woman Bloodlines, which came out in 2019. Starring Rosario Dawson, of course, as Wonder Woman / Princess Diana. You have Jeffrey Donovan lending his voice to Steve Trevor. You have Adrienne Moore playing the part of Etta Candy. You have Kimberly Brooks playing dual roles as Cheetah and Giganta. And you have Marie Avapoulos as Vanessa Capitelis, and also Silver Swan, which is, who she becomes later in the film. And on top of that, you have 2 veterans. You have Michael Dorn playing the part of Ferdinand, and the amazing Cree Summer, lending her voice to both Hippolyta and Medusa. So, the film opens up actually pretty straightforward. It's a, the usual kind of sort of soft retelling of Wonder Woman's story, but not so much her story, more or less how her and Steve Trevor met. Real quick sequence shows a parademon attacking Steve's jet. He, of course, crash lands in Themyscira, is found by Diana, who at this time isn't Wonder Woman yet, but Diana. Do a quick fast forward, the usual thing. He, obviously falls madly in love with her. She's not too familiar with man's world. She vows to take him back to his homeland. Of course, they're taken back to man's world. Her mother, as always, which is, I guess, is something they are never, ever, ever going to update, objects. She says she's going to leave and take him. I've made my promise, and of course, her mother is like, well, you do this, and you are never coming back. Like, this is it. You've made your choice, So, of course, she does, as we always know. And that leads to her essentially shacking, well, not so much shacking up. Shacking up is probably the worst term to use on this, but freeloading is probably a better term. There's a particular doctor, Julie Capitelis, who decides that, well, she's already interested in ancient Greece and all that other sort of thing, so Queen of the Amazons, or so not Queen, the Princess of the Amazons, is going to be coming and staying with you and your teenage daughter. So this is where, of course, we meet Vanessa Capitelis, who is the sort of kind of antagonist of the film, but not, not just, she's on the cover, let's put it that way. But beyond that, she's more or less a tool and a pawn. The usual situation, Diana's there. Her mother is all about, paying attention to Diana and not so much her own daughter anymore, because she's head over heels intrigued with learning everything she can from Diana, and of course teaching her the customs of quote-unquote man's world. And then of course we start to see that Vanessa is getting more and more neglected, and of course, being a teenager and this being an animation, she has to act out in the way she changes the way she dresses, shaves half her head, gets that kind of style going, so it's partially goth, partially punk, partially, I don't know, angsty teenager, all rolled into one. And, she eventually shows that she's just kind of done with, like having this superhero, basically, taking over part of the house. So, and of course, in a sense, taking her mother away from her. One of the interesting things about this film is everything I told you so far represents about the first 18 minutes of the film. And that's where the title card comes up. They literally let 18 minutes of runtime go, and oh yeah, by the way, Wonder Woman, Bloodlines. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, a lot of other movies have done things like that. I mean, heck, let's be honest. Batman, The Dark Knight did not bring up the title card until the film ended. Same thing with, I believe, Batman Begins, and probably even Dark Knight Returns. I'm sorry, Dark Knight Rises. So it's been done. There's precedent. It's unusual for animated films, especially, to have that much of a lead in before you get your title card. And of course, she starts off the film, well, once she meets Steve Trevor and then comes to Man-World, she starts off wearing her standard Wonder Woman costume that we all remember from the her TV show and all that sort of thing, the star-spangled tights, and then of course the corset and all that. In this particular moment, before the title card comes up, she debuts her New 52 look, which of course is the longer pants-like boots, I don't know, high boots, I guess, and that look. So yeah, that's just, the little nod. Again, most of the DCAU stuff now is in the New 52 branded era. So moving forward, the standard thing happens. Somebody starts some trouble. This time, and in this particular instance, it's Vanessa trying to sell a particular artifact from Veronica Cale's company to somebody in essentially working with Dr. Poison, who of course was featured in the Wonder Woman live action film. Standard little story. I've got something that you want. Give me money. No, we'd rather just kill you and take it and be done with it. Of course, Wonder Woman saves her life, but in the process, her mother gets killed. So she's mad at Wonder Woman because her mother got killed because she shouldn't have been there. It's like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have been there either. You're selling stuff that doesn't belong to you. But again, it's an animated film, so you already know that logic is kind of out the window. So she decides that she is going to work with Dr. Poison, even though Dr. Poison is pretty much responsible for her mother getting killed. So she allows Dr. Poison to experiment on her using some type of, for lack of a better term, techno-organic virus to turn her into Silver Swan, which is, basically a bioweapon, extra strength. You can fly now. You've got razor sharp, talons and wings. Essentially almost like Archangel from X-Men, but a girl with half her head shaved and long hair on the other side. So I don't know. Again, I'm not, 100% full disclosure, I am not a huge Wonder Woman comic book reader. I get a lot of the stuff I see from Wonder Woman off of just what I watch for cartoons, some of the various, again, a lot of the DCAU stuff. That's where a lot of my Wonder Woman knowledge comes from. I'm just gonna be 100% honest. So I was not aware of Silver Swan. I'm pretty sure she's out of the books. Again, whatever, this is the first time I've seen her. I'm treating this as a simple animated standalone, and anything that they present in here is what I'm gonna go off of. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. She attacks Wonder Woman at some point in the film, for her, her test, outing, more or less, and Wonder Woman, of course, kicks her butt because she's still Wonder Woman, let's be real. She's gonna overpower her. I don't care how much power you add and augment, Wonder Woman's still an Amazon. And she's, born of the gods. So I think she's always gonna have more strength than you. She goes toe to toe with Superman and can kick his butt at times. So let's be honest. So Wonder Woman takes her to Veronica Cale, trying to figure out how to reverse the process, essentially. And part of it is, well, you gotta find a way to get her to Themyscira because there's nothing I can do. Everything that you've got as far as, tech and everything, this is beyond tech. This is a virus mixed in with tech. It's kind of just eating her alive and replacing her, so to speak. So they've got this quote unquote purple healing ray.
Wow, what is this thing?
The purple healing ray.
Yeah, but what is it called?
The purple healing ray.
Okay, well, here's the rub. Once you leave Themyscira, at least according to this movie, you lose your memory of where it is. So that's part of the protection. Because again, it always made me, and I actually like that they introduced that because it always bugged me with Themyscira. It's like, okay, you can't see it, that's fine. The force field doesn't repel things, it just, if you suddenly are sailing along in the ocean and you get into Themyscira's, water space, so to speak, you'll just suddenly push through And wow, Paradise Island, amazing. Dang, all those hot women over there, even better. Awesome. But the whole thing was like, well, if it was that easy, make note of where you were and then get back there. But I like that they added this. Well, maybe it's not even added. Maybe it's something out of the books. I don't know. But I like that they have this aspect of, okay, once you've been there, if they let you leave for whatever crazy reason, your mind forgets where it is. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. So they go on a quest to figure out how to find Themyscira. And again, I don't want to spoil the movie. You guys, watch it if you do want to watch it. The movie itself is actually kind of cool, but they, do the usual thing. And then of course it's a quest, just like every other video game, animation, movie that you've ever watched. And that's where we end up running into Michael Dorn in a maze playing a Minotaur, channeling his inner Vin Diesel, because his character initially can only say 3 words. I think it was like, must stop intruders, over and over. Like that's all he could say. And it is what it is. Eventually Diana, being Diana, because she's Wonder Woman, she is able to lift the spell. But before that happens, there is actually a fight between her and the Cheetah. Now, I think they leaned very heavily into putting Cheetah in this film because they wanted to showcase Cheetah before Wonder Woman 84 came out, because of course Wonder Woman 84 is where Cheetah was going to be the main antagonist in that film. Now obviously we know the situation now, the pandemic, things got pushed back, but I think that this particular film came out just to give everybody that kind of, hey, it's Cheetah. Sweet, she's in that one movie that's coming out. I think that was the reason she was put in this film. Now her part in the film was actually really cool. She had a fight with Wonder Woman. Of course, she is one of her arch nemesis. And the fight went well. I, again, don't want to spoil it. It worked the way it worked. One thing that was odd, Dr. Poison was giving a lot of these different characters, even Giganta, which I always figured that Giganta could grow and change her size at will. In this film, she has to inject herself with something. And then also later in this Cheetah fight, Cheetah injects herself with the same serum or whatever from Dr. Poison. So I don't know, it's odd. They're going their own direction with it, and that's fine. Everybody interprets it whichever way they're gonna do for their particular film. So of course, we move forward into the film and we meet the true villain of the film, Cree Summer, lending her amazing, just iconic voice. Not her Elmira style voice, mind you, but her voice to Medusa. Because again, like I said, she played Hippolyta, who of course is Wonder Woman's mother, but now in this particular film, she also plays Medusa. And that Medusa sequence was nice. They did a really good, I would honestly, if they're gonna do live action and with Wonder Woman, and if they really wanna open it up to just being beyond the standard, you're fighting, because again, they're kind of there. I mean, she fought Ares, the god of war, in her first movie. This time, for a Wonder Woman 84, she's gonna fight Cheetah. I would like to see them dig deeper into the pantheon of the gods, and demigods and all that other sort of thing, because Medusa's whole sequence is badass. She's turning people to stone and smashing them left and right. I'm like, oh, that's the Medusa that I like to see in films and animation and that sort of thing. So again, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but there is a little bit of a double cross swerve type thing going. So I'll leave it at that. Overall, Wonder Woman Bloodlines, again, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's kind of worth a watch. There's nothing special about it as being in 4K, 100% honest. It's cool that I was able to get it for a low price in 4K, so that's why I picked it up in 4K. Watching it on the Blu-ray, I mean, again, there's not a huge, again, it's animation. Certain, computer-generated animation looks better in 4K. For whatever reason, it just does. I don't know if it's just something about it. This is a more, mixture of hand-drawn and CGI. And it looks fine either way. Now, the 4K, as always, the 4K Blu-ray doesn't have any any extras. It's just, of course, this is the film with the different language tracks and subtitle tracks. Bland menu. All these DC animated movies menus are bland and it's annoying, but it is what it is. You don't, buy the movie for the menu, but I would still like to have a nice menu presentation. But the Blu-ray itself, though, does include a couple of featurettes. Not a lot, though. It's not packed like I think it should be, but it has kind of a breakdown of, again, showing that they were trying to introduce people to the Cheetah. They have an entire breakdown about the Cheetah and her backstory and her background, that sort of thing. It's actually a really interesting watch. I think it's only about 10 or 12 minutes or so, but it's definitely worth a watch. The other extras on there, they have an episode of Batman Brave and the Bold, which of course features Wonder Woman and Superman fighting against Lex Luthor, the Joker, and again, the Cheetah. So they're leaning heavily into getting people geared up and ready for Wonder Woman 84, as you can tell. And also they have a DC Showcase, which DC Showcase is probably one of the best things about some of the DC animated films that have come in the past. They've had DC Showcase of Catwoman, Spectre, Jonah Hex, Green Arrow. Usually what it is just a little short episode, usually about 20 minutes or so, depending. Sometimes it's, about 20 minutes, I think, is usually the average time. And they highlight a particular DC character that either you might not have been very familiar with, or there's some particular reason they just want to put some shine on them. In this particular instance, this DC Showcase is about Death, which, again, very, very good story, the one that they tell. Jamie Chung lends her voice to the title character, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because again, it's only 20 minutes long, so it would spoil it. But now that I've seen this DC Showcase did its job. I'm probably, once this whole virus thing is done, I'm probably gonna hit my local comic shop and check out some of those books because that character was very, very interesting, and the presentation that they did for this particular DC Showcase was on point. So bravo to whoever decided to put that particular one on this film. It worked. All in all, DC's Wonder Woman Bloodlines, I'll probably give it a solid, go check it out, stream it, watch it if you like. Because, if you're into Wonder Woman, go ahead and get it. Because again, she's only had 2 animated films that star her, as the main character. And this is her second one. And again, Rosario Dawson does a great job as her voice. So they need to give her more because she pulls you in. Like, Rosario Dawson not only is a very attractive woman to begin with, she has a really nice voice and it works for Wonder Woman. So give her more work. See, Rosario, I'm looking out for you. Yeah, but again, I'm going to leave you with these final words. For many of you out there, seeing an invisible jet. See, that's an oxymoron in and of itself. You can't see it. It's just an invisible jet. And yes, the invisible jet was in this film, which was a bad idea in my opinion. But again, it's an in joke for Wonder Woman. But knowing that there's an invisible jet out there and that there's a woman who can fly riding around in an invisible jet, just think about that for a moment. But for all of you out there thinking that, like, yeah, that's weird. And yes, I agree, that is weird. So we're gonna go, we're gonna start over because I don't even care. Just the invisible jet bugs me, but it was in there and it does bother me. So I'm gonna forget those words and we're gonna go to these words. For many of you out there, the day that you first watched Animaniacs and saw a little girl named Elmira who liked to torture little animals, you probably thought, the girl doing her voice must be the craziest, strangest person in the world. And to find out so many years later that same woman is doing the voice for not only Wonder Woman's mother, but the Queen of the Gorgons, Medusa. That probably blew your mind that she is still out there doing that voice work and has that much range. But hey, for me,
It was Tuesday.
I'll see you guys next time. If you're enjoying our content, please consider going to our Patreon and becoming a supporter. There are different tiers to select from, and we thank you for your support.
Culture Junkies!